reach a ripe old age like we here at Matthews Brothers have. People make up multisyllabic, hard-to-pronounce words to describe you. Words like sesquicentenarian. More amazing yet, some people even try to sing it.
Matthews Brothers is a sesquicentenarian.
That means we're really old,
but we're still flexing.
We've got a website. It's wicked awesome.
We're on the Facebook.
Just like your Grammy.
Won't you please friend us?
We also tweet.
Look for our stuff at
Better Lumberyard.
Or at Window Pros.
And remember, Matthews has just one T.
Even after 166 years of making wicked awesome windows and doors, we're still setting records. And for that, we say thank you.
Matthews Brothers, Matthews Brothers, Matthews with one T. America's oldest window manufacturer.
Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
If you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
The first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950. The reviews are amazing, as this is one product that actually works. With water, it breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they are gone for good. Its antibacterial component moves pet odors from carpets and padding. It can be used in a carpet cleaning machine, and it's green, so it's safe for your family and pets. Genesis 950 is made in America. If you are tired of pet cleaners that don't work, it's time to buy Genesis 950. 1 gallon of industrial strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner. But Genesis 950 is not just for pet stains. It's great for bathrooms, kitchens, floors, upholstery, and grease stains. Consider Genesis 950 before purchasing new carpets. Genesis 950 has great customer service. Order 1 gallon direct at genesis950.com to receive a free spray bottle, free shipping, and a $10 coupon using code GRACE. That's genesis950.com. Coupon only available for 1 gallon purchase. Genesis 950. Much cheaper than replacing your carpets.
Joe Biden's plagiarizing prowess proves one thing: he's been stealing all his life.
Why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why am I the first connect in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
No, it's not because they weren't as smart.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent?
It's not because they didn't work as hard.
Or the strength, or the endurance, or the commitment. course not.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
Come on, man.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Hey, it's not the Howie Carr Show. It's my show. And I brought my own music.
She's the Boston Herald's wittiest wordsmith, the last woman standing at the Whiskey Priest, the Archduchess of the AM airwaves. Once a very legitimate magazine that we definitely didn't make up named her the Michael Jordan of radio. Wait, don't you think we're laying it on a little thick here, Grace?
Just stick to the script.
Oh, okay. Get ready, Boston. Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio, it's the Grace Curley Show.
Hello, New England. Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. Beautiful day here in Boston. Hope everyone's having a great week. The news will not slow down. And today there's a new rumor in the rumor mill. I'm not sure if I'm going to believe it, but a lot of sources are reporting that Mitch McConnell allegedly thinks impeaching President Trump would be a preferable way to purge him from the party. Now, I'm going to read you the exact tweets here from Jonathan Martin from the New York Times. This was last night. He said, McConnell believes Trump committed impeachable offenses, believes the attack on Capitol gives Republicans a chance to purge the president, and McCarthy, that's Kevin McCarthy, has asked colleagues if he should urge Trump to resign, is open to a censure. McConnell is said to be pleased about impeachment, believing it will make it easier for him. Now, this is the New York Times story, but it goes on to say, Biden called McConnell yesterday and asked if Senate could dual-track impeachment trial and cabinet confirmations. Far from telling Biden he would not discuss the impeachment, McConnell said he would check with the parliamentarian and get back to Biden. So there's the rumor. And let's now kind of break it down. Here's what I'll say. The idea that Mitch McConnell and Republicans would turn on Trump at this point, I have to agree with what I saw a lot after the story came out was a lot of people saying this would be the end of the GOP. There would be a third party. People would never vote for these rhinos again if they turn their back on Trump. And I've always liked Mitch McConnell. I've always respected him to an extent. I mean, I loved how he was during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. He was very no nonsense. But this, especially from someone who's been doing this for so long, to me seems incredibly short-sighted. I understand this idea of trying to get Trump out of the way in the sense that he'll never run again for public office. But 73 million people voted for this guy. And even if you go beyond this election, if you go to 2016, this was a guy who was never in politics, who captured the country. Whether you like him or not, he captured the country. And now you're going to turn around when he has, what is it now, Jared, 7 days left? And try to purge him? And what, we're all children, we're all going to forget tomorrow that he existed and that, you know, there was this groundswell of support for middle America. I mean, I know Republicans are weak. I know they're feckless. It's something I've learned over the past 4 years. Every single day. There's been one occasion or another that keeps drilling into my mind. You should never be shocked at how pathetic Republicans are. But the level of squishiness from rhinos and swamp creatures, it really never ceases to amaze me. I just have to imagine that today Mitch McConnell's being flooded by GOP guys, Jim Jordan, Ted Cruz, you know, guys who are really the face of real Republicans, and just telling him this is a horrible idea. This is a horrible way to go. Not only will it tick off Trump voters, and despite what you hear from the mainstream media and what you've heard over the last week, there are 73 million Trump supporters. It's not just the morons who stormed the Capitol. As much as the media would like you to believe that that's all there is to Trump voters, it's not. So not only would you anger half the country, but politically, it's just ridiculous. Forget the fact that it's not an impeachable offense. I love this tweet today from Conrad Black. He's a historian and a columnist. He tweeted, "This will be the second impeachment proceeding where a full transcript exists exonerating the president." Because you remember the first one was all about a phone call. And the phone call also exonerated the president. Now, Alan Dershowitz, who's likely going to represent Trump legally, said the impeachment of Trump is clearly unconstitutional. The speech at the center of the impeachment is constitutionally protected, and it shouldn't be possible to impeach a president for making a speech that is protected by the First Amendment. Now, Alan Dershowitz will be called a crazy person and, an enabler. But here's a guy who actually just believes in civil liberties and believes in the Constitution and believes in the rule of law. He doesn't like Trump. That's not really the vibe I get. He said he wouldn't have given the speech that Trump gave, but he knows what is impeachable and what isn't. And the timing of this is just insane. There's 7 days left in Trump's presidency. And part of me kind of thinks that maybe the people who have been predicting for 4 years that the walls are closing in on Trump, that was a big thing. The walls are closing in. And the other theory was he's going to resign. He's going to resign. He doesn't even want to win. He's going to be impeached. He's going to be removed from office. Part of me thinks that this last minute attempt at impeachment is just the people who were painfully wrong over the last 4 years wanting some sort of vindication, but it's still nutty. It is still completely insane. And I'm going to open up the phone lines because I feel as though it's important we hear what the regular listeners think about this. Where they're trying, the media and big tech, they're trying to paint us all with this broad brush that we're all nuts and we're all racist and we're all bigots. And if they impeach Trump, then it all goes away. And that's why you have people like Liz Cheney, swamp creatures, who are coming out as if it's so brave now to come out against Trump. They want things to go back to the status quo. And if you don't understand that, then you have way too much faith in DC. Because that's exactly what is happening here. Give us a call, 844-500-4242. We're going to talk about some of these impeachment managers, too. People like Eric Swalwell, which I find to be a huge slap in the face to all Americans, regardless of your party. This guy was just caught being very cozy a few years ago with a Chinese spy. And now, not only did he not get kicked off the Intel Committee, but now he's overseeing the impeachment of the president, the second impeachment of the president. If you're starting to feel like it's bizarro world, you are not alone. It is wacky. Good is bad, bad is good. Up is down, down is up. Everything seems to be insane. And the fact that now some of these Republicans are coming out and being like, oh, we're going to purge the party of Trump. That's not going to happen. I saw a piece today in The Federalist by Tristan Justice, and he said, you're going to make this guy a martyr. And it's true. The amount of things they had to do to beat this guy, and now they're so afraid of him that they're going to impeach him 100 days after he leaves office. A lot of people want to talk about this. 844-500-4242. I see the lines are filling up. We will get to all your calls when we get back. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We got so much more. This is The Grace Curley Show.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
Liberty Safe. If you're a gun owner, you know that name because they've worked so hard to earn the title of America's #1 safe. And the area's best Liberty Safe dealer is Dependable Lock in Nashua. They have Liberty Safes in stock now. Keep your guns and other valuables locked up in a Liberty Safe. See the experts at Dependable Lock to learn more and see the full collection. LibertySafeNewHampshire.com. LibertySafeNewHampshire.com.
It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story about who really hired you.
The mail manager really hired me, but it wasn't a great interview. Like, she'll even tell you that. She asked me what I like to do for fun, and all I could think of was I like to go out to dinner with my friends and eat and get drinks. So I really just sounded like a loser who doesn't have... I think I also lied and said, I like to play tennis, just because I wanted to do something that sounded normal. Howie had no idea who I even was. I mean, I came in, was 10 minutes early for an interview, which everybody knows the story. I had red lipstick on, and I was 10 minutes early, and that was the high bar I had to meet, because then I got hired.
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. Online at gracecurleyshow.com. And follow Grace on Twitter at G_Curley.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
What deal can we have, Crazy Nancy?
The Constitution does not say that a person can shout wolf in a crowded theater.
But to be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. Chocolate candy, chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here. Consistently practice social distancing.
Why does AOC complain that you have not been grooming younger people for leadership?
I don't know. You'll have to ask her.
That was kind of sharp.
I'm not a big needle taker. I mean, I had a hard time getting my ears pierced. I'm not a big needle taker. I mean, Mother Earth is angry. She's telling us.
What do you think is causing this erratic behavior?
I think that the president has always had erratic behavior. I have ice cream in my freezer. I guess that's better than having Lysol in somebody's lungs.
Civilization as we know it is at stake.
I don't drink, but I'm happy to have ice cream with anybody, anytime.
Here's 1 minute of getting to know Jared Diglio. What would be your last meal on Earth?
Pizza. Cheese pizza. Just regular cheese pizza.
What drink are you going to have with your pizza?
I gotta go Coke. You gotta go Coke with pizza. It's the perfect combination.
Where's your favorite vacation spot?
I'm a staycation kind of guy. I like just staying in my place, but if I had to go to a destination, I love Italy, especially Rome.
If you could live in any state besides Massachusetts, which one would you choose?
Nevada. Wide open land, people leave you alone. Plus, it's not that far from Vegas or LA.
If you weren't in radio, what profession would you be in?
Gigolo.
Favorite comic book character?
Spider-Man. He's been my favorite since I was a kid. He's the most identifiable of the superheroes. He's just kind of a normal guy who's got a lot of problems, but he's got to overcome it and save the day.
Favorite Star Trek character?
I love TNG, but I gotta go with James T. Kirk.
Dogs or cats?
Neither.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's.
Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
Sweet or salty?
Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Grace Curley. So the Party of Unity is impeaching Trump for the second time, and they're telling us how they don't like his dangerous rhetoric and his hateful words, and he incites violence. And one of the impeachment managers is President Eric Swalwell, who you guys probably know from his widely publicized relationship with a Chinese spy. He never had to, apologize. He actually blamed that on Trump, that the information ever got out. It was reported by Axios, which anyone who follows media knows they're not exactly a right-wing publication. They're very left-wing. But Eric Swalwell has never had to apologize for anything. He never got kicked off the Intel Committee. He has just failed upwards. He's like Dr. Fauci. Every time he does something wrong, he just gets promoted and gets another TV hit. So the party that does not like Trump's rhetoric, this is what Eric Swalwell just said on a TV hit.
But they're saying holding him accountable is different from the people who directly were involved in tearing down the doors and rampaging the Capitol building.
Well, Osama bin Laden did not enter U.S. soil on September 11, but it was widely acknowledged that he was responsible for inspiring the attack on our country. And the president, with his words, using the words fight, with the speakers that he assembled that day who called for trial by combat and said we have to take names and kick ass, that is hate speech that inspired and radicalized people to storm the Capitol.
So we're off to a crazy start to this if we're comparing Trump to Osama bin Laden. Comparisons are hard. I might have to say that every single day. Comparisons are definitely hard, especially if you're Eric Swalwell. That is not the way I would start. But this just goes to show you the unity speech is a sham. It's so transparently political. Everything that the Democrats do, they've wasted all of your time and all of your money on Donald Trump for the last 4 years, on destroying Donald Trump. And guess what? Even when he's gone, which is what they said they wanted, 100 days after he's gone, they're still going to be attacking Donald Trump because they can't quit him. They're obsessed. Guys, I wanted to give everyone a heads up before we go to the calls here. If you want to text in, it's 63566. I believe you still have to start with the word Howie, but we're sharing the text line with Howie, so feel free to text in. And without further ado, I promised I would take some calls in this segment. Lou, you're next with Grace Curley. What do you think, Lou?
Doing, Grace?
Good. What's going on?
How you doing? Yeah, all right. Before I get to my point, please don't call them the Party of Unity. Call them the party of 7.5 months of constant rioting, looting, mayhem, and attacking police, because that's exactly who they are. And one other thing, I don't know if you noticed this or not. I might be the only one who did. Last week, the police got off in Kenosha and nothing happened. They must have controlled that riot. It seems like the Democrats can control their own riots, because you would expect a riot after that, no charges, like they did with Breonna Taylor, but nothing happened. But let me get to my point. My main point is that, and you're a good example of it, it's not Donald Trump so much, but Trumpism is going to live, because the Republicans have got to start getting to be more minorities, more female, a lot younger, and they are, too. I mean, you see people coming up who hold the same values as Donald Trump does. You know, people like Candace Owens.
Yeah.
Eric July.
Lou, I totally agree with you. I think what Trump did for Republicans, and I've said this before, I was telling Jared this yesterday, I would go to Trump events and, you know, you wait for him to get off Air Force One, or you wait for him to walk down the stairs at one of his rallies. It's like a rock concert, and there's no one who could do that before him. Lindsey Graham couldn't do it. Marco Rubio couldn't do it. He revitalized this party, and what is he getting in return? He's getting stabbed in the back by all of these rhinos. But I think what you're saying is true. This will live on. We have to see past, you know, Trump being president. We have to start preparing for 2022 and 2024. And I don't think this is going to help people like Liz Cheney and Mitch McConnell saying, actually, I think I agree with impeachment. Give me a break. And they used him as long as he was useful. And then the second they thought politically it would be to their advantage, they turned their back on him. I would love to say I'm surprised, but I'm not. Matt, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, what's going on, Grace? Hey, so you get a problem here because you've got a lot of people that attended that went with the idea of, yeah, maybe it's Stop the Steal, but it was a rally.
Right.
And then you have a lot of people that voted for him who are going to be like, yeah, we voted for this guy twice or maybe one time, and now what you're doing is you're basically having two inconsistent standards. So all these people watched all the things that happened this year and all the things they've done to Trump the last 4 years, and nothing is applied to the other party.
Right.
You have two ideologies you have ideologies on each side, and one party kind of doesn't get held accountable for their ideology. And you have one side that basically is being persecuted, banned, and doxxed, and whatever. So I think that's going to get people even more radicalized in a negative way, and also in a positive way where they are more supportive of the next candidate.
And Matt, I think what you're bringing up is what we call double standards and what the left calls whataboutism, but it's true. And Ben Shapiro had a great tweet today. He said, the worst kind of lie is a double standard, and right now it's double standards all the way down. And when you start pushing that one kind of riot is okay and another kind is not. And I'm actually going to skip forward to this. I was going to save it for later on, but I think it's worth playing. Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo just came right out and said it, that they supported Black Lives Matter when they were burning down cities because, in essence, it was cooler or it was, more meaningful than what happened at the Capitol. And Jared, let's play the cut, and then I want to talk about CNN and an ad they used to run.
Listen, I'm glad you mentioned about being shot by cops, because you cannot compare this, and I'm sick of people comparing. You can't compare what happened this summer to what happened at the Capitol. It's two different things. One was built on racial justice, on criminal justice, right? On reform, on police not beating up or not or police treating people of color differently than they do whites. Okay, that is not a lie. Those are facts. Go look at them. What happened at the Capitol on Wednesday was built on a lie perpetrated by the president and the people who support him. So just on that merit, if you want to call it, it's not comparable. Those things are not comparable. So they should stop doing that and stop this whataboutism.
So CNN used to have this ad where they would say, this is an apple. And they put an apple, on the screen. And I want to encourage the people at CNN to learn that. Learn how to call something what it is. Republicans condemn violence when they see it. It doesn't matter if it's a Bernie bro shooting Steve Scalise or if it's Trump supporters, however fringe they might be, storming the Capitol. Republicans know an apple is an apple. Don Lemon is trying to say this apple is an orange. If you can't condemn violence and you have to justify it with things that make you feel good, like, oh no, the Black Lives Matter protests, those were good. All those people who got their businesses burned down, that was for social justice. I would encourage Don Lemon to talk to some of those people in those cities that had their entire lives destroyed and see if they think it was for social justice, if they think it was good, if they think it was okay, or if they think it was violence and rioting. It's such a double standard, and it's not whataboutism. It's calling out people for their past remarks that don't make any sense anymore. You wonder why people are so divided. It really feels like we're all taking crazy pills. Paul, you're next with Grace Curley on The Grace Curley Show. What's going on, Paul?
Hi, Grace. Great show.
Thanks.
So I believe that they're trying to impeach Trump on the way out the door to make him guilty of an invented crime of insurrection. So in moving on with that, anybody that supported him, gave him money, voted for him, was also supporting insurrection. So they can use the Patriot Act and all of the other investigation services on all these innocent people to keep an eye on them.
Right.
So they can't get together and cannot, organize to elect people because they're inciting violence and insurrection.
No, and you make a great point. We read a story about that yesterday. I'm blanking on what publication it came from. I believe it was Town Hall, and it was Dennis Prager, and he wrote about Reichstag and basically how the Nazis used that fire to condemn a group of people or an idea they did not believe with, and they took that and they used it for everything. And a perfect example, and a story we're going to get to later, but that really summarizes what Paul is talking about, is Governor Gavin Newsom. Because what's happening in California is there's a recall effort.
They're about 500,000 signatures away. They might get them, they might not. But there's an effort going on, and it's definitely probably more conservatives, but there's also some bipartisan support. There's Democrats in California who I assure you do not like Governor Gavin Newsom. The incident of the French Laundry can do that to people. When you lock people up in their homes for months and months and you go to the French Laundry for a birthday party, you're going to lose some support. So Gavin Newsom and his, crew of Democrats had a press conference, and they accused the people who are spearheading this effort to recall Gavin Newsom of throwing a coup or of attempting a coup. And they compared them to the people at the Capitol. And it's exactly what Paul's talking about, because now we've gone from violence is bad and all of those people at the Capitol who stormed and broke glass are bad. And that's true. But now we've gone to all Trump supporters are bad. And now we've gone to all people who dare disagree with anyone in power are bad. That's the escalation. It's not just Trump supporters anymore, or even Republicans. It's people who disagree with Gavin Newsom are trying to exercise some sort of coup. You want to talk about dangerous rhetoric and discouraging civil discourse. There's nothing illegal about what those people are doing. And we're going to talk more about that. We have a lot more to get to. We have a lot of great guests. I have Lou Murray coming up. I love talking to Lou because whenever I'm feeling kind of hopeless with politics, Lou always cheers me up. He's got a lot to say about Mitch McConnell, and he's got some inside sources, so he's going to fill us in. Before we get to that, though, I want to let you all know that there's this expression that there's no such thing as a free lunch. And that expression is no longer true. Because with my friends at Aviva Trattoria, we'll be giving away a free lunch every other Friday here at the studio. 2 lucky listeners will have an incredible meal by Aviva Trattoria and watch the show with me in studio. All you have to do, guys, and this is the key, you go to gracecurleyshow.com, you sign up for the email. Put your email in, and you're on board. That's all. You don't have to buy anything. It's easy peasy. We had a ton of entries last time. I'm hoping we'll have a ton of entries this time. I'll be selecting the winners every other Friday, I believe. And they're going to come in with a huge spread. They have the best chicken parm I've ever had. It's so delicious.
The seafood risotto was my favorite. It's got lobster. It's got shrimp.
And Jared, not just lobster. Sometimes you go to a place and they have little lobster. These are chunks of lobster.
These are like claws, whole claws.
Whole claws. So delicious. Cannolis. They bring in a massive, delicious spread that you do not want to miss. From seafood to their homemade pasta, Aviva has you covered. Whatever you like, they have it. They also have 4 convenient locations in Marlborough, Maynard, Wrentham, and Westford. Takeout is available too, so make sure you support them in that way if you can. Enter to win the Aviva VIP lunch. Go to gracecurleyshow.com. That's gracecurleyshow.com. Just enter your email. You could be sitting in here with me, having some chicken parm, and talking about Nancy Pelosi. Is there anything better? I don't think so. Hey, guys, when we get back, we're going to take more of your calls. 844-500-4242. What do you think of impeachment? What do you think of Eric Swalwell being an impeachment manager? These Democrats have no shame, and we're going to talk about it. We will be right back. This is The Grace Curley Show.
She's never held office, but she paid the Whiskey Priest's monthly rent once. She's Grace Curley.
This hour of The Grace Curley Show is brought to you in part by Old New England Soap. Try the new Woodwick soy candles that burn up to 100 hours. Right now, buy 3, get 1 free, plus free shipping on orders over $45 at oldnewenglandsoap.com. That's oldnewenglandsoap.com. He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You've watched the fight, you've watched the tactics, but here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal, and we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal. Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer is impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the Speaker sends the papers over, so everybody enjoy the holidays.
Here at the Howie Carr Radio Network, we're all about saving you money. We want you to cut out the middleman and buy direct from our great sponsors. And to help you save, I've put together a cheat sheet. For instance, if you go to EdenPure.com, you'll find the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and you can save $10 using code Howie. You can also get Eden Pure's Gen 30 heater and save even more money with code Howie Deal. Do you have a dirty, dingy carpet that could use some freshening up? Head over to Genesis950.com, use code Howie, and get a gallon of their cleaner, free shipping, and other goodies with code Howie. Put a little pep in your step with Super Beats. Get more bang for your buck and do some good for your heart by going to superbeatsradio.com/Howie. While you're at it, give your ears a treat too and listen to your favorite music and podcasts with premium earbuds from Raycon. Get them at buyraycon.com/Howie. And finally, make cooking easier with HelloFresh. They'll send you easy to follow recipes and all the ingredients you need, but only if you visit HelloFresh.com/Howie. Cut out the middleman, save money, and take advantage of these deals now.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
She's the friend you never knew you needed.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup.
Okay, make that best friend. It's Grace Curley.
Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. I have to say, there's some things that go out of fashion when a Democrat becomes president. You know, the grim milestones go out of fashion. The press doesn't really report on that. I can assure you that the number of cases from coronavirus, that will not be, you've seen it in the last week even. That's already kind of getting pushed off the headlines. But something's back in fashion. Pelosi, Speaker Nancy Pelosi was just quoting President Abraham Lincoln. So congrats to Honest Abe. He's back in fashion. You are cool again. It is cool to quote Abe Lincoln. I don't think you can still name a high school after him, but you can quote him.
I just want to see Biden wearing a stovepipe hat at the inauguration, the virtual inauguration. And I want Major to have a little mini stovepipe hat, too.
Oh my gosh, I would love that. Major has to have some sort of hat.
Speaking of the circus on the House floor today, I have a new hero in California Representative Tom McClintock.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing, because everybody gets to prostrate and do their whatever. So he was standing up there talking, and he had a mask on, because masks are required now, and his mask said, "This mask is as useless as my governor." Love that.
Is he trying to throw a coup?
I believe he is trying to throw a coup. As a science denier, throwing that coup.
And we joke, but that really is where we're at now, is that if you have any sort of disagreement or if you have any sort of argument against anything, whether it's if you feel there's election fraud, there's nothing illegal about questioning the results of an election. In fact, Democrats did it for a very long time. Hillary Clinton did it up until, yesterday? About 2016? She's probably talking to Bill about it right now. And nobody said that Hillary Clinton was being insightful about violence or that she's dangerous or that she's wacky. Everyone just, put her on the cover of every single magazine. Guys, before we get to your calls here, today's poll question is brought to you by the Fallensby Inn. Do what I did and enjoy this beautiful inn. To reserve your room, go to fallensbyin.com. Talk to Dennis. He is the absolute best, the sweetest guy with the best inn. I love it. I can't wait to get back there. That's fallensbyin.com. Jared, what is the poll question and what are the results thus far?
Which word do you find to be the most unifying?
Okay, go ahead.
Cleanse, deprogram, re-educate, reconciliation, or purge?
Don't forget rehabilitate. We got to add that to the list. I'm going to say re-educate is the most out of all of the words they're using to talk about what they plan to do to Trump supporters, that's the least frightening to me. It's still scary, but it's the nicest way to say it.
Re-educate coming in at 24%, which is good for second place tie with cleanse. In first place is reconciliation.
Okay, guys, so that's at gracecurleyshow.com if you want to vote in the poll, gracecurleyshow.com. That's also where you can find any of our podcasts. We have interviews up there with Janice Dean, a lot of people from the Federalist. Make sure you check those out. And by the way, I said this earlier, but if you want to text in, it's 63566, same as Howie's show. So text me in your thoughts. I'm already getting a lot more texts after I mentioned it in the last segment. George, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. What's going on, George?
Hello, Grace. Victor George speaking.
Hi, George.
Nice talking with you. I think there's just a double standard. That's what upsets me. I thought I heard on one of the other talk shows that Kamala Harris on the Colbert Show actually came out and praised the rioters and said there should be more rioting right up to election and there should be rioting after election. And I endorse more rioting. She actually came out with that. Now,
so the exact quote on that was that it will continue and it should continue. She didn't actually say endorse.
And she didn't actually say rioting.
She didn't actually say rioters. She said the protest will continue and should continue.
I actually saw a fact check on that once. I read it and it said, it's not sure if she meant the protests and the peaceful protests would continue. It's so funny how they can, I've talked about this a lot before, but they can take something, you could say something really dangerous as a Democrat, and the mainstream media will read your mind and say, oh, no. She didn't mean that. This is what she meant. This is what she meant. And if you're trying to twist her words. Now, if you're Trump, you can say peacefully and patriotically go to the Capitol. And they will say, nope, what he really meant was storm the Capitol.
My question on that is, why did she have to bail peaceful protesters out of jail?
Yeah. That's a good question, Jared. I don't know if I have an answer for you. Guys, we'll be back with Grace Curley Show. 844-500-4242. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, Howie, I see you got a haircut again.
Yes, I did, Grace. It looks good, doesn't it?
It definitely looks better than that haircut you got a few years ago before you met the president. Remember that bad buzz cut, Howie?
Geez, you love bringing that up, don't you?
Well, I just think that your bad haircut was a true testament to the wonderful work of Dr. Highness at DiStefano Hair Restoration. Because even though you looked crazy at the time, your hair grew back, and now you look as dapper as ever.
That's true. Dr. Highness did such a wonderful job on my hair. I love waking up every day not worrying about bald spots or a dreaded comb over. I now have a thick head of hair, and the best part of it is, it's my hair. Getting a DiStefano hair restoration was the best decision I ever made.
Well, besides hiring me, right, Howie?
Like I said, Grace, it was the best decision I ever made.
You heard him, guys. Go to hairman.com to get the hair you've always wanted. Get hair like Howie's. Go to DiStefano Hair Restoration. They have 5 locations in New England, and they are open for business. That's hairman.com.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey, everybody. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
There's a group of about 10 people outside of work that represent the entire universe of the community that I've spent time with and my wife has spent time with since March.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panic porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power. And the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
We spent time with about 10 people, period. We have a lot of friends we have not seen for months, and we don't know when we will see them. There are lots of people we haven't seen in, forever.
It's a confusing, nonsensical, follow-the-science world, but it's the only world they know.
Those are the rules in this game that we all need to play by.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
My wife and my circle of friends has gotten very small.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of...
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. Because I can all see you're in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very nice floral bouquet. A little I detected lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
Here at the Howie Carr Radio Network, we're all about saving you money. We want you to cut out the middleman and buy direct from our great sponsors. And to help you save, I've put together a cheat sheet. For instance, if you go to EdenPure.com, you'll find the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and you can save $10 using code Howie. You can also get Eden Pure's Gen 30 heater and save even more money with code Howie Deal. Do you have a dirty, dingy carpet that could use some freshening up? Head over to Genesis950.com, use code Howie, and get a gallon of their cleaner, free shipping, and other goodies with code Howie. Put a little pep in your step with Super Beats. Get more bang for your buck and do some good for your heart by going to superbeatsradio.com/Howie. While you're at it, give your ears a treat too and listen to your favorite music and podcasts with premium earbuds from Raycon. Get them at buyraycon.com/Howie. And finally, make cooking easier with HelloFresh. They'll send you easy to follow recipes and all the ingredients you need, but only if you visit HelloFresh.com/Howie. Cut out the middleman, save money, and take advantage of these deals now.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beats for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beats? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beats are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beat and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beats? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beats has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeatsradio.com to find out more about Super Beats. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeatsradio.com. www.superbeatsradio.com.
What does the mainstream media really think of you? Banjos, please.
Bigots and racists. Credulous, rude, tin-toothed, working class, angry, white.
Aging, angry, white guys.
Angry white man.
The angry white old men.
These angry white men.
The angry white vote.
All these angry white people.
Too many of them want to see the people who are begging for change put down.
Racist.
Racist, bigoted base.
It's white privilege, it's white nationalism, it's anger, it's rage, it's incel.
You tolerate a certain level of racism.
1 in 3 Americans are racist.
The credulous boomer Rube demo.
Y'all elitists are dumb.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling. Even though my
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading. They're too far gone.
Look at them. They're high-fiving each other, and they're going to go back, to the Olive Garden and to the Holiday Inn that they're staying at and the Garden Marriott, and they're going to have some drinks.
What does the mainstream media really think of you? Banjos, please.
Bigots and racists. Credulous, rude, tin-toothed, working class, angry, white.
Aging, angry, white guys.
Angry white man.
The angry white old men.
These angry white men.
The angry white vote.
All these angry white people.
Too many of them want to see the people who are begging for change
put down.
Racist.
Racist, bigoted base.
It's white privilege, it's white nationalism, it's anger, it's rage, it's incel.
You tolerate a certain level of racism.
1 in 3 Americans are racist.
The credulous boomer rube demo.
Y'all elitists are dumb.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling. Even though
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading.
They're too far gone.
Look at them. They're high-fiving each other, and they're going to go back, to the Olive Garden and to the Holiday Inn that they're staying at and the Garden Marriott, and they're going to have some drinks.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
We are now effective today requiring all counties to close their indoor activities, their indoor operations in the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, tasting rooms. A few weeks ago, I was asked to go to a friend's 50th birthday. I made a bad mistake. Instead of sitting down, I should have stood up.
Stay at home as much as possible. Put those social gatherings on hold, including extra care for Thanksgiving.
Denver's mayor told you to stay home for Thanksgiving, then he got on a flight to go see family out of state.
Some people calling Supervisor Kuehl a hypocrite. Now, on November 24th, she voted to ban outdoor dining, and on the
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Hey, it's not the Howie Carr Show. It's my show. And I brought my own music.
She's the Boston Herald's wittiest wordsmith, the last woman standing at the Whiskey Priest, the Archduchess of the AM airwaves. Once a very legitimate magazine that we definitely didn't make up named her the Michael Jordan of radio. Wait, don't you think we're laying it on a little thick here, Grace?
Just stick to the script.
Oh, okay. Get ready, Boston. Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio, it's the Grace Curley Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hour 2. It's a beautiful Wednesday here in Boston, and we got a lot to get to. I'm excited for our next guest. He's a former Trump surrogate and Boston Ward 20 Republican chairman. He also has a million other jobs. You'll see him sometimes in the Boston Herald, but this is a guy who does it all. Lou Murray, thank you so much for joining the Grace Curley Show.
Is this the Duchess?
This is the Duchess of the AM airwaves.
It's so great to be with you today, Grace.
Lou, thanks
for calling me.
No, thank you so much. My first question, which I know you've been getting asked a lot, is what is going on right now with impeachment? What are your predictions? Do you think Mitch McConnell is really going to let this go on 100 days later? And what's the motive there?
Well, impeachment is an inherently political act. And right now we're seeing an inherently political act of retribution on Donald Trump. You know, in the early days of the Christian church, when someone strayed from the tenets of the faith, they were declared anathema and cast out from the community. And that's really what you're seeing in Washington, D.C. The globalists want a complete rejection and toxification, not only of Trump, but of his 75 million voters and the largest ever amount of minorities, women, Hispanics, immigrants that flocked to this idea of, America first. I mean, Trumpism at its core is really about more economic opportunity, less immigration,
fewer high-tech work visas, border safety, a trade policy that puts workers first, the American workers first, U.S. manufacturing, and most especially an end to these endless Bush-Obama endless wars.
Right.
These are the planks that brought Trump into office. That he won in his second election, and that these planks are the future of the GOP, and this is why you see some Republicans who are really corporatist globalists who initially are making statements and hinting that they're going to go along in the Senate with this impeachment. However, I think in time, when things simmer down a little bit, you're going to see people stand back, and this impeachment will never go through.
I like that word you use, toxification. It's true. It seems they've been using words like purging and cleansing and rehabilitating Trump supporters. But Lou, my next question would be, so Donald Trump is not going to be president after the next 7 days. And I guess my question for you, because I know you're part of the GOP. I know you were part of it before Donald Trump, and you're going to be part of it after. What is the future of the GOP right now?
I think the future of the GOP, I've never been so excited. I've never been so energized except in the past few days, because there has never been a lion leader like we have, and lion, Lion, a lion leader like Donald Trump, who was able to just reach out to the people that voted for him and see 750,000 to 1 million people come to the U.S. Capitol to listen to him speak on a bitterly cold winter morning. People drove all night from all 50 states and flew in and, used their vacation time. And that, if you ever went to a Trump rally, and I know you have because I saw you at one, which is, Trump always says, this isn't about me. This is about you. And I'm a candidate who's working for you. And I think that's at the bottom of this, really is what's at the bottom of all this finger pointing and nastiness, and as Alexander Hamilton called it, the factionalization of America, where factions will use their political power to persecute others. And so I think that the more you press on these really good people, the working class, the more they're going to flock to a Republican Party that champions their efforts to build up their businesses, their careers, and their families.
Yeah, and Lou, you mentioned that Trump always said, this isn't about me, this is about you, and they don't hate me, they hate you. They were just projecting it onto Trump. And I'm one of those people that I never really fully understood the deep state and how deep it goes and how swampy everything was in D.C. until Donald Trump came along, and I realized these people do not want this guy in there shaking things up whatsoever. But Lou, my next question is...
One quick point.
Go ahead.
One quick point, Grace. The deep state, as we're all seeing right now, it's not deep at all. The deep state is right out in the open. Mm-hmm. They're in your face. They're in your grill, as Steve Bannon says, right? They're not holding back. Liz Cheney isn't holding back. These other people whose families, the Cheney family, they've made their fortune off the war machine, and they're not holding back in attacking Trump. And the deep state is right out in the open.
No, I totally agree with you. Now, Lou, I wanted you to tell people, because I know you're a man of great faith, and I talked to you this morning. Do you have words of wisdom for people right now in, MAGA fans, or, any Americans who are feeling really disheartened right now? And the country's so divided, and it seems that the Democrats are just pushing to make it even more so. Do you have anything to say to those people?
Oh, thank you, Grace, for acknowledging, my Catholicism. I think you have to go on a little riot diet, turn off the TV for, watch for 1 hour a day. Of course, you got to listen to a little bit of Grace and a little bit of Howie. You can't skip that. That wouldn't be complete without a little bit of that. But limit your media intake. The media has attacked Donald Trump and his supporters since 2015, mocking him as he came down the escalator. And they have never stopped. They have never stopped, and they have never acknowledged his legitimacy. So now we have to look at what the real purpose of everything that is going on. And I talk about the toxification of Trump and Trumpism and his voters. But 75 million people, it's pretty hard to erase 75 million voters. But I do think that what we have to do when we do talk in public and when we are talking amongst our friends and when we are talking with people that will listen to reason, we have to be like Jim Jordan, and we have to look at the reality here. And that the reality here is this is an inherently political act of retribution, and it's meant to take the vote, the theft of the vote, out of the consciousness of the people. I mean, there are multiple cases still pending in front of the Supreme Court. There are courts in Georgia, in the state legislatures of Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona. They're still examining these issues. And to say that isn't to deny that Joe Biden will be inaugurated next week and he will be the next president. But the questions of election fraud have not been resolved.
And Lou, there seems to be this rush to take everything and any sort of analysis like yours and say, well, we're lumping you in now with the violence. And when really it's not the same thing. It's the two can separately exist. You can question things like Jim Jordan does without being called, an extremist.
Absolutely. And Grace, that's a beautiful point, Grace, because the average everyday person, when they're sitting down across from their spouse at the kitchen table at the end of the day, they can have pensive discussions about what really happened. And those discussions aren't going to cease. And, I think that the Democrats are doing a terrible disservice to the country. Jonathan Curley has come up with a great, he's a great language, but he's calling this a snap impeachment. And it's a disaster for the nation because of the political nature of removing a president, it must be done with caution and deliberation. And what this is coming off as is a giant persecution. And I think you have to look to history at leaders like Donald Trump, who had a real connection with the average everyday people, and see that when those people get persecuted, they only become stronger. In Boston, we had a leader. His name was James Michael Curley, and the Brahmins tried to kill him off. They tried to kill him off by charging him with federal crimes and convicting him of taking a civil service exam for a friend. And the only thing that happened was Curley became stronger. And I'm working on a piece right now where I call Donald Trump the Rascal King, and borrow that moniker that we all know about James Michael Curley. But I think of another leader that Trump often gets compared to, and it's not Teddy Roosevelt, but he would be in the same category. It's Winston Churchill. And Winston Churchill was, he was a guy like Trump. Every time you knocked him down, he got up and he got up stronger. And there was one of his fellow Englishmen in South Africa described him this way. He said, Winston is like a strong wire that's stretched, always springs back. He prospers under attack, enmity, and disparagement. He lives on excitement. The more he scents frustration, the more he has to fight for. The greater the obstacles, the greater the triumph. And I think Donald Trump is going to eventually stand in the well of the Senate and say, it is an honor to be impeached by this group of corporatist puppets in the House of Representatives.
Wow, Lou, I'm gonna. Go ahead, finish off your thought right there.
I said, yeah, and James Michael Curley put it another way. Every knock is a boost, and every knock is a boost for Donald Trump. So bring it.
Lou Murray, that was awesome, and I think you probably summarized what a lot of people are feeling right now. If you guys want to follow Lou Murray, I highly encourage it at Lou Murray, LOUMURRAY on Twitter, and he writes for the Boston Herald. He does a ton of great stuff. Make sure you check him out. And guys, my friends at Eden Pure have done it again. Just to briefly remind you guys about this deal we're running, I'm holding the Eden Pure Thunderstorm in my hand. It is so light, it is so small, and starting today, you can get the Thunderstorm air purifier at the lowest price offered to my listeners. With code word GRACE, the Thunderstorm is available for under $90 and shipping is free. This New Year sale is for 1 week only or while supplies last. So the supplies have lasted this long, but I have a feeling this isn't going to go much further. So the Thunderstorm is a small device. You can plug it into any wall. This is what I love about it because I have a small house. So I don't need, I don't need a huge air purifier. I don't need a huge humidifier or anything like that. All I need is a small little one. And the thing is, if I decide that I want it in a different room, it's like a phone charger. You just grab it and you stick it in the outlet and you're all set.
And I like how quiet it is because, people probably don't know this, but we are at a job where our ears are bombarded all day long, whether it's listening to the product that we're putting out or it's listening to speeches. We all have headphones on. So when you get home, you just want the quiet. You don't want the loud noises. And the Thunderstorm makes no noise. It's fantastic.
You're absolutely right. And this Thunderstorm also purifies the air from any odor, whether it be pet odor, kitchen smells, tobacco, or that damp smell you have in your basement that's really hard to shake. Guys, make sure you check it out. The Thunderstorm doesn't take up floor space, and like Jared said, it's very quiet. Take advantage of this 1 week only sale and experience for yourself what all the listeners, Howie, Jared, and advertisers are raving about. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word GRACE. That's EdenPure.com, code word GRACE. Shipping is free. Guys, I'm going to take your calls on the other side. I know everyone is very opinionated about what's happening right now in D.C. and in the swampy swamp. So 844-500-4242. Call in. We'll get you on the other side. This is the Grace Curley Show.
You're listening to the Grace Curley Show.
Here are some rapid-fire questions with Taylor Cormier. If you had to live in a state besides Massachusetts, which would you choose?
Montana. No question about it. When is the last time you've heard of anything happening in Montana? The answer is you haven't. It's quiet. Nobody's going to bother you in Montana.
If you weren't a radio guy, what profession would you be in?
My number one dream job is to be an antique dealer, like the American Pickers. I would love that job. Going through people's old garbage and junk and trying to find that diamond in the rough, and you're always learning as you go. It's a lot of fun to watch, and I think that's why I go antiquing on the weekends.
What is your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your favorite TV show?
The Honeymooners. Jackie Gleason is the most hilarious person on television ever.
What is your favorite soda?
I'm not a big soda guy. It's got to be a special occasion for me to drink soda, but I'm partial to Dr. Pepper.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
This is the Grace Curley Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We just had Lou Murray on, and he gave us some inspiration and some hope, I think. But imagine the nerve of that guy referring to my great-great-great-grandfather as the Rascal King. I know that's what people called him, but in my house, he was Grandpapa. But no, Lou Murray's great, and I love having him on. He's already getting rave reviews. Today's poll question is brought to you by the Fallensby Inn. Do what I did and enjoy this beautiful inn, and not to mention the beautiful breakfast. It's to date one of the best breakfasts I've ever had. To reserve your room, go to fallensbyinn.com. Jared Diglio is on the board. Jared, what is the poll question, and what are the results thus far?
Which word do you find to be the most unifying? Cleanse, deprogram, re-educate, reconciliation, or purge?
Okay, so I'm going to say the least unifying first, I think, is cleanse and purge. Those are, I believe it was Rick Klein, the ABC political director, who said cleanse. And A lot of people have been using purge, including apparently Mitch McConnell.
Right.
That's alleged. I'm going to say the most unifying is re-educate.
Re-educate in third place at 23%.
What do people think is the most unifying? What's number one?
Reconciliation is still number one.
Yeah, that's a little bit lighter.
Cleanse at number 2, 27.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is all, part of, people are getting mad. I'm calling them the party of tolerance, but that's what it's all about. It's all about unifying. It's all about ushering in decency by, putting all of Trump supporters on a list and making sure we all lose our jobs by 2022. Okay? That's what's going to bring this country together. Guys, 844-500-4242. A lot of people want to talk about what's going on. I'm going to go right to the calls. Mary Ellen, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. What's going on, Mary Ellen?
Hey, Grace. Obviously, I'm upset about the election and what happened. I don't think he should be impeached. I think they run the risk of making him a martyr, which might backfire on them. But I think the bigger question moving forward is, why can't someone ask President-elect Biden and Kamala Harris why, if they're trying to unify, they are allowing big tech to virtually stomp out half of this country by wiping out their social media, their access to things, and really letting them speak in any way that's against a leftist viewpoint. That, to me, is the most important thing moving forward. How come no one is asking them those questions?
Yeah, Mary Ellen, I think that's a great point, and I saw Allie Beth Stuckey. She's a great follow on Twitter. I love how I keep referencing to follow people on Twitter when they're probably going to be kicked off any day. But she tweeted out a few days ago something along the lines of, if you're confident in your ideas, you don't try to censor other people's ideas. You don't try to silence them. You want to debate. You want to have civil discourse. And Mary Ellen, I agree with you that people should be asking Joe Biden and Kamala Harris about how they feel about big tech and Jack Dorsey and the Ministry of Truth. But I'm going to also say that we need more questions about this impeachment, because they asked Joe Biden whether or not he thought that Nancy Pelosi should go through with this. And he, put his hands up and shrugged and said, it's up to Congress. It's not my decision. This is from the president-elect of the United States. This is the easiest, I think, decision is, of course not. We're not impeaching him. We're moving together as a country. We're moving on from this. That's what a sane person would do, or a person who had any control over his party. But he doesn't. So he's just like, oh, whatever they want to do, I don't want to say anything. It's the same thing with the Supreme Court. He doesn't want them to get mad at him. But Mary Ellen, there's a lot of questions they should be asking Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I agree with you. Big tech should be one of the number one things. For me, it is what scares me the most right now as far as, furthering the divide. Nothing is going to sow more division in the country than shutting up an entire political party because you don't like them. Guys, we have a lot more to get to. 844-500-4242. It's the Grace Curley Show. We're going to keep talking about this. We're going to keep talking about Governor Gavin Newsom, the impeachment. We have tons of sound. We also have a Jim Jordan cut I really want to play because you can't lose faith in all of these Republicans. There are some guys that consistently do a great job. Jim Jordan is one of them. Sorry, that's what I was playing there. Jim Jordan is one of them. Devin Nunes is one of them. So we'll have some Jim Jordan sound on the other side. 844-500-4242. I'm Grace Curley.
Here at the Howie Carr Radio Network, we're all about saving you money. We want you to cut out the middleman and buy direct from our great sponsors. And to help you save, I've put together a cheat sheet. For instance, if you go to EdenPure.com, you'll find the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and you can save $10 using code Howie. You can also get Eden Pure's Gen 30 heater and save even more money with code Howie Deal. Do you have a dirty, dingy carpet that could use some freshening up? Head over to Genesis950.com, use code Howie, and get a gallon of their cleaner, free shipping, and other goodies with code Howie. Put a little pep in your step with Super Beats. Get more bang for your buck and do some good for your heart by going to superbeatsradio.com/Howie. While you're at it, give your ears a treat too and listen to your favorite music and podcasts with premium earbuds from Raycon. Get them at buyraycon.com/Howie. And finally, make cooking easier with HelloFresh. They'll send you easy to follow recipes and all the ingredients you need, but only if you visit HelloFresh.com/Howie. Cut out the middleman, save money, and take advantage of these deals now.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950. The reviews are amazing, as this is one product that actually works. With water, it breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they are gone for good. Its antibacterial component moves pet odors from carpets and padding. It can be used in a carpet cleaning machine, and it's green, so it's safe for your family and pets. Genesis 950 is made in America. If you are tired of pet cleaners that don't work, it's time to buy Genesis 950. 1 gallon of industrial strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner. But Genesis 950 is not just for pet stains. It's great for bathrooms, kitchens, floors, upholstery, and grease stains. Consider Genesis 950 before purchasing new carpets. Genesis 950 has great customer service. Order 1 gallon direct at Genesis950.com to receive a free spray bottle, free shipping, and a $10 coupon using code GRACE. That's Genesis950.com. Coupon only available for 1 gallon purchase. Genesis 950. Much cheaper than replacing your carpets.
Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
If you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say? The first mainstream African-American who is articulate and bright and clean.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate. And not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community, with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. 200 moms, dads, sons, daughters, grandparents who are no longer with us. I think it's up to 30,000 people have died.
over 600,000 dead, 600 plus thousand people.
60,000.
660. We're in the middle of a pandemic that had cost us more than 85,000 jobs, lives of millions of people.
Now we have over 120 million dead from COVID.
200 million people have died. 205 million people, 1,000 people. 210,000 people have died. 4 million existing billion, 500,000. 50,000. A class of 25, you end up having 2 classes of 12, for example. But in the 2020 census, which is now 2 censuses ago, the Oval, back in May 2019, a $15 million, $15,000.
Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. I'm so excited. This was a last-minute guest that we managed to get. Everyone knows I love Red State. I'm on it all the time. And a few weeks ago, when our biggest problem was the bill full of pork, there was a great article on Porkulus. That's what it was called. And it caught my eye, and I reached out to the author, and her name is Jennifer Oliver O'Connell, and I asked her if she'd come on, and we weren't able to figure it out then, but today, with all of this going on, whether it's impeachment or the recall of Governor Gavin Newsom, the effort to recall him, I thought, who better to have on? So she writes for Red State, but also asthegirlturns.com. Jennifer, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Grace, for having me. I'm glad we were finally able to put this thing together.
Awesome. Now, Jennifer, my first question for you is, what is your take on impeachment? I know you never hold back. Are you thinking that this is a good play for the Democrats, or are they overplaying their hand?
They are totally overplaying their hand. People were weary of the last impeachment. And can you believe it was like less than a year ago? We're weary, on top of being weary with COVID, on top of being weary with going back to Porkulus, that hypocritical bill where they doled us out $600. And think of this, Grace. We still haven't resolved that. They were all excited about getting us $2,000 and planning on doing that. And suddenly it's forgotten because we must get the president out 7 days before he's supposed to leave anyway.
Right. The timing of it is bizarre. And I also wanted to ask you, though, about this Mitch McConnell aspect, because now it seems like a lot of these Republicans, whether it's Liz Cheney or Mitch McConnell, are kind of softening up to the idea of removing Donald Trump. Even if it is 100 days later, I don't even know what that means, removing a guy who's already out. But what is your take on some of these rhinos getting extra squishy in the final moments of the Trump presidency?
I think they see an opportunity to get their power back, whatever that means for any of them, whether it's prestige, because if Trump did anything besides the fact of, changing and transforming how we view America and being citizens and all that stuff, he showed us how to be liked. So these people who used to be the experts, used to be the stars, like Liz Cheney, like McConnell, not that McConnell's necessarily a star, but he had gravitas. They're being overshadowed by new congressional members.
Right.
who are very much aligned with Trump and very much believe in the MAGA model. And I don't think they like it. They like being the elite and the supreme beings in that party and being the faces of the Republican Party. And they think they're going to get that back. And they get it back quicker if they can totally just wipe Trump off the face of the earth. And I think that's what this is all about. Let's just wipe him out, get rid of his reputation so that we can be the luminaries again.
I'm talking to Jennifer Oliver O'Connell from Red State and asthegirlturns.com. And Jennifer, you just hit on something I thought of myself today. I think this is more ego than anything else because it's pretty short-sighted politically. But as far as Mitch McConnell's ego, he's no longer going to be the Senate Majority Leader. That does make sense to me. So I think that's a great point. My next question for you is, see, on my show, I'm out of Boston. We do a lot of talk about Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York, our own governor, Charlie Baker, or Charlie Parker, as Joe Biden liked to call him. But you write a lot about California and this effort to reopen California. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Certainly. Well, first of all, we are recalling our governor, despite his party, the Democratic Party, saying, oh, it's not the will of the people and this is a coup. They need a vocabulary and a dictionary lesson, frankly. It is the will of the people. We have over 1 million signatures last time it was reported. So I think the will of the people wants to get rid of Gavin Newsom. So that's hot and heavy and going well. And we, any Californian who might be listening, recall Gavin2020.com. If you have not signed, please print it out, sign it, give it to your friends to sign. We also, I also covered a conference this weekend called Reopen Cal Now. And it basically had assembly members, board of supervisors, mayors of towns, policymakers, or the people who are supposed to be making policy in the state of California, talking about how we can get our state open safely. COVID is real. We understand that. We know people are dying. But, hey, you doubling down on a lockdown when people are still dying is obviously not the solution. So what is the solution? So we talked about solutions. We had doctors, trained doctors, the doctor who mounted the Great Barrington Declaration. It was a letter saying lockdowns do not work. Here's the healthy path to protect people from COVID and get on with our lives. We had Sheriff Jones, Scott Jones, Sacramento County Sheriff, as well as Sheriff DiAgostino, El Dorado County. Those are both Northern California. But they basically have opposed Newsom's lockdown orders, basically saying we're not going to enforce this. We're not going to be the police of giving people tickets and locking them in their home. We're here to serve the people, not penalize the people. So that was the discussion that went around. If you go to redstate.com, Jennifer Oliver O'Connell is my handle, or As the Girl Turns. There's videos of a couple of the assembly members that I've interviewed. I've interviewed Dr. George Fareed, who has basically saved lives, who are people who were dying from COVID or suffering from it. He's saved many lives through a particular cocktail or particular therapy that he's implemented. So those are the things that are up on my page now, just covering how we can get California back. First of all, how we can get our constitutional rights back, how we can get back to government for the people, by the people, and then also, how we can get back to work and combat COVID as well as just get our lives back.
Yeah, and Jennifer, I find it so interesting that you're talking about this effort to recall Gavin Newsom, because today it was the first real case, I thought, of using what happened at the Capitol, which, I mean, I'm sure you'd agree with me, was awful. And, we do not condone violence of any kind. But what's interesting is this recall of Gavin Newsom is totally legal. It's actually what, political discourse and disagreement and, the lawful effort to recall someone, that's what the country's all about. And I don't know if you saw this, but there was talk that, and it was from Gavin Newsom and his fellow Democrats, that this was, part of the people that were rioting are the people who are trying to recall this, and it's a coup. Do you have any comments on that?
He's trying to paint it as Trump supporters and MAGA, which is the knee-jerk reaction of Democrats in this state. It's so ridiculous because they have a supermajority. This state is either extremely purple or close to blue. I'm not saying there's not red in it. Definitely certain counties are red counties, Orange County being one of them. But for the most part, people are very much about, I just want to get on with my life. I'm not necessarily MAGA and I'm not this. I just want to get along with my life. And that's what it's about. It's about overreach of the Democrat supermajority implementing laws that nobody wants. AB 5 is a major one that got passed in 2019, implemented in 2020. COVID kind of overshadowed it, but it has totally destroyed livelihoods of independent contractors in California. And I'm one of those. We have all been hopping mad. We've done stuff about it. We helped to get Prop 22 on the ballot. Prop 22 passed because of AB 5. But they're very tone deaf in seeing that their actions are what is causing this uprising. If they've taken away and stripped power from the legislatures, from the Board of Supervisors, from the mayors that are supposed to be implementing and helping the people and guide them into law. They've totally stripped them and put everything in the power of Governor Newsom. Assemblymen Curley and Gallagher are two people who are suing Gavin Newsom. And they successfully won an injunction against him regarding his executive orders. Now it's on appeal. And they are literally saying that he says, no, I should have if there's a state of emergency, I should have all the power, and really local governments just aren't smart enough. People aren't smart enough or wise enough to know what to do. Not everyone's
smart enough to, lock down their entire state and then go to French Laundry for a birthday party. Jennifer Oliver O'Connell, thank you so much. Jennifer is from Red State. Jennifer, where can people find you on Twitter if they want, or your actual website?
Twitter is As the Girl Turns, at As the Girl Turns. Easy, and the website is asthegirlturns.com.
Thank you.
You can find Red State as well as my other work there.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. We'll definitely have you back on. Jennifer's got her hands full with California. So much going on there. We think it's bad here in Massachusetts with our hack politicians, but they've got it even worse, I think, in California, because they also have just, it's just the sidewalks are covered in poop, and that never helps the situation. Guys, we have a lot more to get to, but before we go to the break, I do want to play this cut of Jim Jordan. There's been a lot of talk about these rhino squishy Republicans, and I think it's worth noting that there are some stand-up people. I'm not going to say stand-up guys, because there's a lot of girls, too, including Elise Stefanik and other people. But listen to what Jim Jordan has to say. He never quits. Let's play this sound.
Americans are tired of the double standard. They are so tired of it. Democrats object to more states in 2017 than Republicans did last week, but somehow we're wrong. Democrats can raise bail for rioters and looters this summer, but somehow when Republicans condemn all the violence this summer, the violence last week, somehow we're wrong. And Democrats can investigate the President of the United States, as Mr. Hoyer went through, try to impeach him, investigate him for 4 years, but will not look at an election that 80 million Americans, half the electorate, 80 million, Republicans and Democrats have their doubts about. I said this last night. I do not know where all this goes. And this is frightening for the country.
I really think that is such a solid point, because when the Democrats were trying to investigate Trump for 4 years, and when they were impeaching him, and when there was a Russia investigation, when there was anything at all, his taxes, whatever they wanted, it was a scandal, and it was our right as Americans to investigate and to get to the bottom of it. And Maxine Waters said, we got to connect the dots. And every road led to Putin. And no one was accused of being racist or bigots or anything like that. And because of a few nut jobs at the Capitol last week, now every single thing that Trump supporters have said for the last 4 years is supposed to be voided, is supposed to be a moot point. And I applaud Jim Jordan for saying it. That's what every Republican should be saying. Because, listen, is it Bill Belichick's job to become a political person and get the Medal of Freedom? No. Is it the guy who works in marketing's job to stand up and lose his job over it? No. But these people who are elected to speak for us, it is their job. It is their job. It's not their job to be liked. It's not their job to get invited to cocktail parties. It's not their job to get puff pieces written about them in the Washington Post. It's their job to speak up for Americans when we need to be spoken up for. And that's right now. Guys, we have so much more to get to, and a great guest coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, not including Howie Carr, but he's also a great guest. We will be right back. This is The Grace Curley Show.
Follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curley.
If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950. Genesis 950 was my go-to product for Mr. Gooner. The reviews are amazing, as this is one product that actually works. With water, it breaks down the bonds of stains so they're gone for good. Its antibacterial component removes pet odors from carpet and padding. It can be used in a carpet cleaning machine. Genesis 950 is made here in America. It's a concentrate, so 1 gallon makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner. But Genesis 950 is not just for pet stains. I brought it to my daughter Carolyn's new home, and she loved the results. Use it in kitchens, on floors, upholstery, and on grease stains. Consider trying Genesis 950 before purchasing new carpets. It's green, so it's safe for your family and pets. Genesis 950 has great customer service. Order 1 gallon direct at genesis950.com to receive a free spray bottle, free shipping, and a $10 coupon using code Howie. Coupon only available on purchase of 1 gallon. That's genesis950.com. Genesis 950, much cheaper than replacing your carpets.
It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story about driving back from the Matthews Brothers remote.
I was driving the mailer manager's car, and then she was driving their other car. She had Howie in her car, and I was by myself. And it was really, really, really bad. Like, I'm talking the worst conditions I've ever had to drive on in my entire life. It was so scary. I was sweating. I don't think I got home till like 3 in the morning. But I was like, I have to come in tomorrow and tell the mailer manager I can't do that again. And came in and, I kind of built up the courage to say it. And she looked at me and she said, "You can't do that again." I was sweating. My whole back was sweating. I'm never doing that again ever. So now if there's even like a little bit of snow coming, she'll say to me, "Do you want to stay at the hotel? Or do you want to, what should we do? How should we plan for this?"
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. And follow Grace on Twitter at G_Curley.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just 1 scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
Here at the Howie Car Radio Network, we're all about saving you money. We want you to cut out the middleman and buy direct from our great sponsors. And to help you save, I've put together a cheat sheet. For instance, if you go to EdenPure.com, you'll find the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and you can save $10 using code Howie. You can also get Eden Pure's Gen 30 heater and save even more money with code Howie Deal. Do you have a dirty, dingy carpet that could use some freshening up? Head over to Genesis950.com, use code Howie, and get a gallon of their cleaner, free shipping, and other goodies with code Howie. Put a little pep in your step with Super Beets. Get more bang for your buck and do some good for your heart by going to superbeetsradio.com/Howie. While you're at it, give your ears a treat too and listen to your favorite music and podcasts with premium earbuds from Raycon. Get them at buyraycon.com/Howie. And finally, make cooking easier with HelloFresh. They'll send you easy to follow recipes and all the ingredients you need, but only if you visit HelloFresh.com/Howie. Cut out the middleman, save money, and take advantage of these deals now. Grace Curley. She's the cool kid at the lunch table.
I want a hamburger, no cheeseburger. I want a hot dog. I want a milkshake. I want potato chips. You'll get nothing like it.
This is the Grace Curley Show.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Grace Curley Show. Already having fun. We still have a whole hour to go. I do want to fill you guys in a little bit about the recall of Governor Gavin Newsom, the effort to recall him. He's the California governor, and this story really blew my mind here. It says California Dems characterize recall Gavin Newsom effort as California coup. And there was a meeting that all these Democrats had, and in it, the communications director, Sherry Yang, said, "We have multiple Democratic leaders who are here to discuss the attack that took place last week in our U.S. Capitol and how some of these very same people who incited this violence on our democracy are also leading a California coup disguised as a recall effort." So in other words, now these people who have collected all these signatures, they can't recall Gavin Newsom because they'll be smeared as racists and bigots and crazy people as well. That's how far-reaching this goes. And we compared it yesterday to Reichstag. I mean, the fire that the Nazis used it as a way to stamp out communism and say, listen, everything you do from now on will be brought back to this one incident. And that's what's happening clearly, because the people, I can assure Gavin Newsom, the people writing their signatures for his recall are not only Republicans. I've talked to a lot of people from California, Democrats, Republicans, members of the Green Party, anything you want. People don't like Gavin Newsom. I saw this kid a few days ago in a coffee shop, and he had a picture of Gavin Newsom with the clown nose on it. He was not a conservative, but people can agree on some things. It's like people agreeing on Mayor Bill de Blasio. Some people unite both sides. Ted, you're next with Grace Curley on the Grace Curley Show. What is going on, Ted?
Grace, great first week, and you're into a great second week.
Oh, thank you.
So happy for you.
Thank you so much, Ted.
Grace, this retribution against Donald Trump that is being put in motion is ratcheting up to his supporters. And, I've been following you and Howie Carr for years now, and I remember one of your first podcasts, your interviews with Grace was with Kurt Schilling.
Yes.
And Kurt Schilling, I don't know if he did it on Twitter today, but I heard it on a news break. AIG, a huge insurance company, dropped Kurt Schilling's coverage because he's a Trumper.
Yeah, I saw this,
Ted.
Ted.
Out of hand.
Yeah, no, Ted, I saw this, and I'm thankful that you brought up the story, because it's just another example of cancel culture run amok. I mean, this is just at this point, people deciding that they don't want to associate with Trump supporters. You saw it yesterday in Forbes magazine. One of the writers was calling for the firing of anyone who ever worked with Trump. And we will talk about that story, Ted, about AIG. I find that interesting. Maybe I'll shoot Kurt a text and see if he can come on the show and talk about it. It's ridiculous. And if you don't believe cancel culture exists, I'm going to read you these tweets from Palmer Report. I don't really know who he is. He has a blue check mark. He's a political analyst. This is what he tweeted. And it goes right along with our poll question. Conservatives cannot, in all caps, be teachers, police officers, doctors, lawyers, coaches, or bosses. It's constitutionally unfair to others who are subjected to the conservatives' deranged judgment. Conservatives can do menial work until they're ready to join the human race. We shouldn't be cold-hearted about this, but having a conservative as a police officer, for instance, isn't much different from having a KKK member as a police officer. It's just not something that a civilized society can ever tolerate. We should try to rehabilitate any conservatives who are willing to try. We should pay them to undergo therapy and retraining so they can understand the world around them. But first, we must get them out of positions of influence because they're infringing on the rights of others. This is what's going on Twitter. And let me assure you, Jack Dorsey has no problem with this. Donald Trump can't tweet, but Palmer Report, he's out there calling for therapy for conservatives, and he wants them out of polite society as a whole. Guys, when we get back, we'll be talking more about cancel culture, and I'm talking to Michael Harrison from Talkers Magazine at 2:30. You don't want to miss it. 844-500-4242. I'm Grace Curley. This is The Grace Curley Show.
New year, new hobbies. Whether it's following along to directions in the kitchen, binging an audiobook while learning to knit, or powering through a new workout with a pumped-up playlist, a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds can make any activity easier and a better time. Raycon makes great sound accessible to everyone. Their wireless earbuds start at half the price of other premium audio brands, but they sound just as great. And if you think having white stems dangling out of your ears looks ridiculous, that's something you don't have to worry about with Raycons. They come in a range of stylish colorways, but always with a comfortable in-ear fit for a more discreet look. Plus, with up to 6 hours of playtime, water and sweat-resistant construction, and Bluetooth that pairs quickly and seamlessly, you can take Raycon's premium audio anywhere you go. Right now, you could get 15% off your Raycon order at buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie for 15% off Raycon. buyraycon.com/Howie.
This is going to sound immodest, but I'm obviously a top-tier candidate. I've had a lot of titles over my career, and certainly vice president will be great. But Mamala will always be the one that means the most. They said, well, do you think Trump is responsible for what happened? And I said, well, look, I mean, obviously he didn't pull the trigger, but he's certainly been tweeting out the ammunition. And that's why do gotta go. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories. You know, I'm just gonna engage in real talk. I don't want to waste your time with anything else.
What is your favorite musical genre?
Oh, I mean, I'm hip hop and reggae and jazz. Those are some of my favorites.
Okay.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Back in
And
college,
I inhale. I did inhale.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts. I get in trouble with some of the things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me it starts here in my gut, it goes to my heart, and then I articulate it. And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts. I get in trouble with some of the things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me it starts here in my gut, it goes to my heart, and then I articulate it. And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, The way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some jack loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it. All right, here is the official re-entry from the basement.
You're a phony! Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out.
Oh, my.
We are now, effective today, requiring all counties to close their indoor activities, their indoor operations in the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, tasting rooms. A few weeks ago, I was asked to go to a friend's 50th birthday. I made a bad mistake. Instead of sitting down, I should have stood up.
Stay at home as much as possible. Put those social gatherings on hold, including extra care for Thanksgiving.
Denver's mayor told you to stay home for Thanksgiving, then he got on a flight to go see family out of state.
Some people calling Supervisor Kuehl a hypocrite. Now, on November 24th, she voted to ban outdoor dining, and on the very same day, she was spotted eating out.
I take responsibility for trusting the word of a neighborhood salon that I've been to over the years. As it turns out, it was a setup. So I take responsibility for falling for a setup. This salon owes me an apology. What they do.
Here at the Howie Carr Radio Network, we're all about saving you money. We want you to cut out the middleman and buy direct from our great sponsors. And to help you save, I've put together a cheat sheet. For instance, if you go to EdenPure.com, you'll find the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and you can save $10 using code Howie. You can also get Eden Pure's Gen 30 heater and save even more money with code Howie Deal. Do you have a dirty, dingy carpet that could use some freshening up? Head over to Genesis950.com, use code Howie, and get a gallon of their cleaner, free shipping, and other goodies with code Howie. Put a little pep in your step with Super Beats. Get more bang for your buck and do some good for your heart by going to superbeatsradio.com/Howie. While you're at it, give your ears a treat too and listen to your favorite music and podcasts with premium earbuds from Raycon. Get them at buyraycon.com/Howie. And finally, make cooking easier with HelloFresh. They'll send you easy to follow recipes and all the ingredients you need, but only if you visit HelloFresh.com/Howie. Cut out the middleman, save money, and take advantage of these deals now.
Watch out, Joe Biden. You might have to share some of the spotlight because your running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, is certainly grabbing some attention for her own gaffes.
She was part of our culture. Yes, we wear those notorious B.I.G. t-shirts with a lot of pride.
Best rapper alive, Tupac.
He's not alive. You say he lives on.
Not alive. I know. I keep doing that.
A Harris administration together with Joe Biden as the president of the United States. The Biden-Harris administration. We have got to, in America, reimagine how we are accomplishing.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Hey, it's not the Howie Carr Show. It's my show. And I brought my own music.
She's the Boston Herald's wittiest wordsmith. The last woman standing at the Whiskey Priest. The Archduchess of the AM airwaves. Once a very legitimate magazine that we definitely didn't make up named her the Michael Jordan of radio. Wait, don't you think we're laying it on a little thick here, Grace?
Just stick to the script.
Oh, okay. Get ready, Boston. Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio, it's the Grace Curley Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. I'm so excited to be here for this last hour. We're going to be talking a lot about cancel culture because I've been seeing it everywhere. And I think for a while people thought it was something they wouldn't have to worry about. You know, it was usually saved for people who said something totally out of bounds or something crazy, and they would get canceled. But for the most part, a lot of people didn't think it was, ever going to come home to roost. And what we're seeing now is that cancel culture is wild. I mean, we talked about it in a lot of these segments. People are getting fired. You almost get one story a day. And now Forbes magazine is saying or a writer for Forbes is saying, oh yeah, every company should fire people that worked for the Trump administration. And there was a really interesting case. I'm going to try to find it here in my stack of stuff of a guy who got a job. I think it was with the PGA or the NHL. I'm not sure, one of those big corporations. And he had worked for the Trump administration, and the company found out and demanded that his direct supervisor, whoever was in charge of him, fire him. And it's getting out of control. It's getting totally out of control. And if you're not realizing it, you're not paying attention. And I read that tweet from the last segment, and people are saying, oh, Grace, can you read some of the replies? I'll try to find some. I'm sure there's plenty. But the tweet basically said, these conservatives, they cannot hold any real jobs anymore. They cannot be police officers. They cannot be teachers. They cannot be doctors. They have to be shunned. And I believe the word was menial jobs they can do, but they can't be part of polite society.
Yes, clean the streets, you credulous boomer rubes. Pick up the trash.
In our poll question, we hit all of these words that people are using. Cleanse, that was what Rick Klein said. The ABC political director said, it's time to cleanse the Trump movement. People have said reprogram, rehabilitate, purge. It's almost, Jared, I'm not very sensitive, but it's almost like it's dangerous rhetoric.
It could be.
It's almost like it could incite violence.
Have to wait for the tech overlords to give us the definition that we just can't understand.
But before we get to any more of that, I want to read you guys two stories. One is from Breitbart. It says 60% of battleground voters consider impeachment attempt a waste of time. And this comes from McLaughlin and Associates. This doesn't surprise me, but what might surprise you is that the memo addressed to Trump campaign advisor Jason Miller found 60% of all voters view impeachment, which Democrats plan to push despite the fact that proceedings will not begin until after he is already out of office, as another waste of time and money. Now, this number is even crazier. An even greater percentage, 77%, believe the Congress should prioritize dealing with the Chinese coronavirus pandemic, with less than a quarter preferring to prioritize impeaching Trump. So, and I always say this, you see people on Twitter, it's a small group of people. It doesn't make up most of the country. And you see people in D.C., again, small group of people does not make up the majority of the country. The majority of the country, the people, especially from the battleground states, they have their heads on right. They see this for exactly what it is. And it makes me feel better. And another story I did want to get to before we bring on our next guest, CNN grounds its long-running airport network. This is a huge step in the right direction. CNN is deciding that they're not going to be played at airports all over the place. Jared, it's a sad day. I don't know what's next, if dentists are going to stop subscribing to Time magazine. This is a slippery slope, as they say. And I'm scared. And I think everyone at CNN is probably scared, including Cuomo and Lemon and Jim Acosta and all the journalists at CNN. But our next guest just dealt with a little bit of cancel culture himself. Welcoming to the show, the one and only Curt Schilling. Thank you for being with us, Curt.
There she is. Don't you dare try and sound like a professional with me, all right?
What can I say, Curt? This is my radio voice.
How you doing?
I'm good. So I saw the story today on Twitter, and I wasn't sure if it was real. And then someone called in my last segment and said, you got to talk about Curt Schilling. Can you explain to people what happened?
Yeah. So in 2004, Shonda and I were shopping. We had just moved here, and we were shopping around for our insurance, homeowners, all the other things that people do to, property, private property, whatever. And we settled on AIG, and we've had AIG from 2014 to 2020. Never been late on a bill, never had a claim. We were like AAA clients. We're perfect insurance clients, for anybody. Got a message from someone who works with us and for us yesterday that the AIG had terminating our insurance policy as of the 21st. And the reasoning behind it was that let me do that in order. Management, along with marketing, at AIG had decided that they did not like my social media profile, so they terminated our policy, and that's the whole story. So
now, Kurt, what this makes me think of is when a lot of whatever it was, whether it was impeachment or the Russia investigation or whatever, and Trump would hire lawyers, and the lawyers started to get blackballed, and people started calling up the law firm saying, you can't work with this person, you can't defend Donald Trump. It's basic stuff now that's being called into question if people disagree with you. Are you surprised?
This is who they are. I mean, no. This is who they are. This is who they've always been. If you haven't had your eyes open, you need to only be awake one day in the last 4 years. It doesn't matter, pick a day arbitrarily to know this is who they are. This is what they are. They are a group of elitist, liberal, very exclusive. They're just bad, evil people, and this is. And I would tell you this is the tip of the iceberg. Here's the thing. If the left can manage to cancel the president, who are you?
Hey, you're telling me. I'm literally no one.
Well, this is and here's the thing. We're going to get insurance somewhere. It's not a big deal. And I wasn't complaining in no way. I'm just posting information. I just wanted people to know it's real and it's happening. And I'm looking very much forward to the first time we start to see this happen to college kids, to minorities who voted for Biden, because apparently they're so good for minorities, which we'll find out that that's the exact opposite of the truth. But I want to shoot this back. I want to turn around and ask you a question, Gracie, because I was talking last night. I'm on a new social media app because I moved away from Periscope and Twitter. Periscope's going away, and I desperately want to be away from Twitter and all the things that it is in Facebook. And so I'm on this thing called Haps TV. And I was streaming last night, and I get so just on Periscope. It would how Periscope will always show you how many viewers you're getting anywhere from, and I would get anywhere. I have 285,000 Twitter followers, but probably 3 to 4 times that actually.
Right.
And on Periscope each night it was weird. I was like getting 80 to 120 at tops concurrent viewers, and I've known my Twitter account's been throttled for 4 years now. I've added like 750,000 followers in 3 years, and my follower total's gone up 78,000. So they've been throttling me. Anyway, I get on Haps and I'm getting 15 to 25,000 viewers nightly, and I know that's what Twitter and Periscope are doing. But the question I had last night was, and I don't think anybody's actually thinking about this because Fox has gone full left on us. But how did we move away from the election fraud so quickly? How is that not still the biggest story in the world?
Yeah, no, it's a good point, Kurt, and I think that what the left wanted to do was basically be able to say none of this matters anymore because a bad thing happened last week, and I think that there are still people out there like Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz who are talking about election fraud and who are talking about, and it's fine to say that President-elect Joe Biden is going to be president. I've totally said that a million times at this point, but we have to set up something in the future that people don't feel so unsure of the election process. And Kurt, I'm sorry to cut you short there. This was a last-minute interview. We had a little trouble getting on the line, so the interview's a little short. But I thank Kurt Schilling for coming on. Find him at all his, whether you're on Parler or whatever you're on. He's always telling his truth, and we thank him so much for joining us. And he brought up a really good point, which is leftism. There's a great piece today. It's called "Leftism is a Luxury Good, and its Awful Price Will One Day Be Due." And it's by Kyle Salmon from The Federalist. And it's the same thing Kurt was just talking about, which is all of this wokeism and all of this cancellation and, calling people problematic. It's all well and good when it's us, when it's the boomer rubes, when it's the rednecks, when it's the deplorables, the irredeemables, the bitter clingers. That's all well and good. But eventually, this is going to get to a point where no one... I always say this. I started going on TikTok, and I know, guys, everyone's going to be mad. Grace, TikTok, all your stuff's going to get stolen. I know. But I love the videos. They're so funny. But anyway, I was on TikTok and I kept seeing these things about unproblematic queens. That's what they would say about certain characters, like Samantha from Sex and the City, people who were like great characters that people liked. And I started thinking, unproblematic. It's a funny new thing that's happening with this generation of unproblematic, that you can't have anything. You can't have ever said anything that they don't like. You can't have ever, joined a movement that they don't like or been part of a political group that they don't like, or you're problematic. And I thought to myself, I'm problematic. And Kurt Schilling's problematic. And Jared Diglio, who's looking at me right now, is problematic. And you listening at home, by listening to me and maybe following me on Twitter, I hate to tell you this, but you're problematic and you're problematically canceled. We're all canceled. And the sooner we realize that, the easier it's going to be to kind of stand up peacefully. I'll say that. Stand up and voice our opinions and not be afraid to say, listen, this is what I believe politically. It doesn't mean we have to, there should never be any violence, but don't be afraid of being canceled, because that I feel is inevitable at this point. People are getting canceled for all sorts of crazy reasons. All right, guys, when we get back, we'll talk more about that. 844-500-4242. I see everybody on the line. I am going to get to you. This is Grace Curley, and this is The Grace Curley Show.
You can call her late for dinner. Just don't call her Gracie. It's The Grace Curley Show. Here at the Howie Carr Radio Network, we're all about saving you money. We want you to cut out the middleman and buy direct from our great sponsors. And to help you save, I've put together a cheat sheet. For instance, if you go to EdenPure.com, you'll find the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and you can save $10 using code Howie. You can also get Eden Pure's Gen 30 heater and save even more money with code Howie Deal. Do you have a dirty, dingy carpet that could use some freshening up? Head over to Genesis950.com, use code Howie, and get a gallon of their cleaner, free shipping, and other goodies with code Howie. Put a little pep in your step with Super Beats. Get more bang for your buck and do some good for your heart by going to superbeatsradio.com/Howie. While you're at it, give your ears a treat too and listen to your favorite music and podcasts with premium earbuds from Raycon. Get them at buyraycon.com/Howie. And finally, make cooking easier with HelloFresh. They'll send you easy to follow recipes and all the ingredients you need, but only if you visit HelloFresh.com/Howie. Cut out the middleman, save money, and take advantage of these deals now.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey everybody, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
I can't tell you how many times in the past couple of months somebody I know has told me a story.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panic porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power. And the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
Somebody I know has told me a story about how they got it, and it all goes back every single time to some informal gathering where nobody wore masks, nobody kept their distance, and the virus spread.
It's a confusing, nonsensical, follow-the-science world. But it's the only world they know.
I mean, it's pretty common at this point that that's where a big piece of this is coming from.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beats for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beats? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beats are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beat and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beats? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beats has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeatsradio.com to find out more about Super Beats. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeatsradio.com. www.superbeatsradio.com.
What impact do you think Russian interference had in the election?
I think it was one of the major contributors to the outcome.
Years from the 2016 election, and Hillary Clinton still can't accept the results. Take a listen.
You know, you can run the best campaign. You can be the person who gets the nomination. You could lose. I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
This wasn't on the level. Flashing videos that appear and then disappear, and they're on the dark web and nobody can find them. It's like applying for a job and getting 66 million letters of recommendation and losing to a corrupt human tornado. So maybe there does need to be a rematch. I mean, obviously, I can beat him again. So, of course, he's obsessed with me.
Start the afternoon off right.
Now what? Here comes the girl. Here she is. This is just the best part of my day.
It's Grace Curley.
We're talking about everything in this final hour. We just had Kurt Schilling on talking about cancellation, cancel culture, whatever you want to call it. The purging of Trump supporters from polite society. And I really want to know what you guys think. I see the phone lines, 844-500-4242. First, I'm going to go to Grace. Grace, you're talking to Grace. What's going on, Grace?
Thanks so much for taking my call. So I really don't know why they keep using the word progressive and liberal, because this is communism. This is exactly what happened in the 40s to the Jews. People were singled out. It started with this kind of propaganda, this kind of talk. And people are afraid to use the word, but it's here. It's in the Capitol. And I think that Chuck Schumer was kind of staring down the barrel of somebody speaking just about that very issue when he was trying to do his little sidewalk speech the other day.
Yeah, Grace, I definitely think this has, echoes of communism. I hate to cut you off. We're just short on time, but I do appreciate the call. Bruce, you're next with Grace from the Howie Carr Show. What's going on, Bruce?
Yeah, Grace, it's basically all about the little guy.
Oh, sorry, Bruce, bad connection. But don't worry, guys. We're going to get to more of the calls, 844-500-4242. I want to read this. I saw this today in a Ben Shapiro column. He said, lies are dangerous, and double standards are perhaps the most dangerous form of lying. They grant the bravery of purity to those most willing to defy decency, prompting similar spasms of cruelty and malice from the other side. The solution to our national crisis of conscience isn't bad faith political purges, which we were just talking about, or repetition of tiresome falsehoods about the nature of the United States. It's truth. But truth is more a shield than a sword, and we are now in the age of swords wielded aggressively by those with little principle, but an unending sense of their own moral superiority. I don't think there's a better case of moral superiority than Eric Swalwell, the representative from California. I mean, this guy, he's coming hot off the presses about this Chinese spy story, and now he's going to impeach the president again. And he's so proud of himself for doing it. It's amazing. The lack of self-awareness, the lack of humility of these people. Like, not once did he ever feel the need to apologize. If anything, he came out and said, I think Donald Trump is at fault here. And now they put him right back on another committee, and we're supposed to take them seriously. It's to me, that's Nancy Pelosi. That's a slap in the face to Americans, because this guy is so compromised. Anyone with 2 eyes and 2 ears could figure out this guy is compromised. So let's put him on more committees. Intel is not enough. He hasn't jeopardized enough of national security with that. Let's put him on the impeachment management team. And another one on the impeachment management is Ted Lieu, who I believe has said some things that I would consider inciting violence in the past. Today's poll question is brought to you by the Follansbee Inn. Do what I did and enjoy this beautiful inn. I went with my fiance. One of the best weekends I've ever had. To reserve your room, go to follansbeeinn.com. Jared, what is the poll question and what are the results thus far?
Which word do you find to be most unifying? Cleanse, deprogram, re-educate, reconciliation, or purge?
Reconciliation. I've changed my mind. I forgot about that one.
Reconciliation in the lead at 32%. Cleanse, second place at 29%.
Yeah, so I think this is important to bring up people like Eric Swalwell and Ted Lieu, who are now in charge of impeaching the president of the United States, because It's not whataboutism. These people are in charge. And their double standards are mind-blowing. And I'm happy this conversation keeps coming up. And I'm happy people are saying, how can this guy be part of the management committee or the impeachment committee? How is he in charge of getting rid of or removing the president as the president? I mean, it's just it's insane. And Byron York had a great piece in Town Hall. He said Democrats started trying to remove President Donald Trump from office before he entered office. Now they are proposing to remove him from office after he leaves office. Does that not tell you everything you need to know? I thought today, I was thinking of what it reminded me of. And it reminds me of that line from Brokeback Mountain where he just says, I can't quit you. That's how the Democrats are with Donald Trump. They can't.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Nancy Pelosi wishes she knew how to quit Donald Trump, and she doesn't, obviously. Because doing this 100 days after he's gone and he's golfing somewhere in Scotland, real good use of all our taxpayer dollars, but they don't care. Everything now is theater. They said, I remember one time Howie told me that people in DC are people who wanted to make it in Hollywood but never could. And this is real theatrics now. Guys, when we get back, I'm talking to Michael Harrison from Talkers Magazine. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for the calls, and we'll take more calls tomorrow. But stay tuned for Michael Harrison. This is The Grace Curley Show.
I recently had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but this reminded me again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer, a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. Right now, when a lot of people don't want to go into the city, Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols that Perfect Smiles has taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. Call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile. Change your life.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey everybody, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
I can't tell you how many times in the past couple of months somebody I know has told me a story.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panic porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power. And the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
Somebody I know has told me a story about how they got it, and it all goes back every single time to some informal gathering where nobody wore masks, nobody kept their distance, and the virus spread.
It's a confusing, nonsensical, follow-the-science world. But it's the only world they know.
I mean, it's pretty common at this point that that's where a big piece of this is coming from.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
Here at the Howie Carr Radio Network, we're all about saving you money. We want you to cut out the middleman and buy direct from our great sponsors. And to help you save, I've put together a cheat sheet. For instance, if you go to EdenPure.com, you'll find the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and you can save $10 using code Howie. You can also get Eden Pure's Gen 30 heater and save even more money with code Howie Deal. Do you have a dirty, dingy carpet that could use some freshening up? Head over to Genesis950.com, use code Howie, and get a gallon of their cleaner, free shipping, and other goodies with code Howie. Put a little pep in your step with Super Beats. Get more bang for your buck and do some good for your heart by going to superbeatsradio.com/Howie. While you're at it, give your ears a treat too and listen to your favorite music and podcasts with premium earbuds from Raycon. Get them at buyraycon.com/Howie. And finally, make cooking easier with HelloFresh. They'll send you easy to follow recipes and all the ingredients you need, but only if you visit HelloFresh.com/Howie. Cut out the middleman, save money, and take advantage of these deals now.
If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950. The reviews are amazing, as this is one product that actually works. With water, it breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they are gone for good. Its antibacterial component moves pet odors from carpets and padding. It can be used in a carpet cleaning machine, and it's green, so it's safe for your family and pets. Genesis 950 is made in America. If you are tired of pet cleaners that don't work, it's time to buy Genesis 950. 1 gallon of industrial-strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner. But Genesis 950 is not just for pet stains. It's great for bathrooms, kitchens, floors, upholstery, and grease stains. Consider Genesis 950 before purchasing new carpets. Genesis 950 has great customer service. Order 1 gallon direct at genesis950.com to receive a free spray bottle, free shipping, and a $10 coupon using code GRACE. That's genesis950.com. Coupon only available for 1 gallon purchase. Genesis 950. Much cheaper than replacing your carpets.
Watch out, Joe Biden. You might have to share some of the spotlight because your running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, is certainly grabbing some attention for her own gaffes.
She was part of our culture. Yes, we wear those notorious B.I.G. t-shirts with a lot of pride.
Best rapper alive, Tupac. He's not. You say he lives on. Not a lot. I know. I keep doing that.
A Harris administration together with Joe Biden as the president of the United States. The Biden-Harris administration. We have got to, in America, reimagine how we are accomplishing public safety. And let's be clear, there is no vaccine for racism.
Let's just say there's a vaccine that is approved and even distributed before the election. Would you get it?
Well, I think that's going to be an issue for all of us. I will say that I would not trust Donald Trump.
Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. There's a story that's out. I first saw it in The Hill. And it's about a talk radio company that employs some of the nation's most popular conservative radio hosts has issued a memo barring talent from spreading conspiracy theories about the 2020 presidential election. Now, when it comes to radio, there's no one better than Michael Harrison. He has served as the editor and publisher of Talkers, the leading trade publication in the American talk media industry for the past 30 years. In addition to that, as if that's not enough of a full-time job, Michael also hosts the Michael Harrison Wrap. I've been lucky enough to be part of that. He also currently hosts Podcast One's The Michael Harrison Interview. He's an expert in all things radio. Thank you so much for joining us, Michael.
Hi, Grace. Thank you for having me on, and you're sounding really good. Congratulations on a wonderful new show.
Thank you so much. So, Michael, the first thing I want to ask you is, can you break down this story for people and your thoughts on it? Do you think that does it scare you as much as it scares me?
It doesn't scare me at all because I've been through this cycle so many times. There seems to be this misunderstanding that somehow American corporate management have no interest in what's going on in terms of talk radio, and they've given all the hosts a carte blanche to do whatever they want, and now they're cracking down and it's censorship. We've been around this cycle every time there's been a controversial issue or there's been something that could stand in the way of the goodwill or the advertising. You know, there are boycotts. There are all kinds of things that people deal with, not to mention just, the public zeitgeist, if you will. The mood of the public changes. So I saw the memo that came down from one of the big companies saying, hey, cool it, guys. And I see it as more of a temporary, let's put the lid on the top of this for a while. They don't want to fire talk show hosts that are making a lot of money for them, and they don't want to lose that segment of their lineup, because they're more than just conservative. In this case, it's Cumulus Media, one of the 4 big companies, and they have lots of shows. They have sports, they have music stations. It's not that they're a political organization, but they don't want to lose the benefits that come from having such a large footprint in the talk radio business. Talk radio is one of the major parts of radio that keeps radio iconic. So I see it as just them being very careful and putting people on notice that they did something about it, because when you own a license to a radio station or a group of stations and you're doing business in the larger community where there's all kinds of political views and you're dependent on goodwill and some of the other factors that come into play, you got to be very careful about the feedback. And here's the funny part, Grace, is all of this is fine under the First Amendment. This actually is freedom of speech per the First Amendment in action. I guess you didn't expect me to say that, did you?
No, I agree with you, Michael, but I find it interesting because I do think there's this misconception, especially with conservative radio, and it's probably propelled by, politicians and the media, but there's this idea that we go off the handle and we say whatever. We just want to get people riled up and we don't care what we say. But to your point, radio hosts and radio companies have always walked a very fine line. Nobody wants to say anything that's going to get them in trouble or, cause any sort of upheaval. So I agree with you on that. I think that there's this misconception that this is the first time this is happening, when really there's been a lot of people are very careful.
Right. Also, you used a word there that I would like to dissect. You said we when you were referring to conservative talk radio. When you look at it under the microscope, all conservatives are not the same. The conservative radio movement, a segment of the conservative movement in America that's expressed on radio, every host I talk to, and I know most of them very well, or certainly the big ones, and I know a lot of the up-and-comers, they all have different points of view on this. It's amazing how different. And there's a huge discussion going on right now in conservative media about where do we stand on our support of Donald Trump at this provocative time. This is not just any old time talking about policy. It's not even talking about communism versus fascism, which a lot of people get into this hyperbolic mode of turning it into it's the communists or it's the fascists. America is at the crossroads. Well, I mean, if you've been around a while, you've seen that argument goes all the way back, certainly before I was born, goes all the way back to, FDR was called a communist. And Reagan was called a fascist. This is the way we do politics in America. It's a very, very messy thing. But all conservatives are not the same, and it's fascinating because of how this thing has been ramped up now to the level of insurrection. I mean, what we've seen this past week is pretty darn amazing. There's a lot of soul-searching going on, one for conscience, and two, for business positioning. Like, where do we want to fall out on this one? How's history going to treat us? Is Trump going to go down as a misunderstood hero who was abused by the deep state and the press and the Democrats? Or will he go down in history as a terrible president? Where do we want to be? And this is the way politics is. Politics makes strange bedfellows, doesn't it? People are shuffling around and trying to reposition themselves.
Right.
Keep in mind, I'm looking at this from a very nonpartisan position, not because I'm such a pure person, but because that's my job in the industry. That's my role, so I'm staying in my lane.
Actually, Michael, that's one thing I always notice about you. You're very calm and collected. You don't really show your hand a lot. And I remember when I was interviewed by you, and I couldn't get a read. I couldn't figure out, where does this guy fall politically? And that's a good thing. There's not a lot of that right now. But my next question for you is about talk radio as a business in general. I know that it's been booming. There's been very few sports radio programs lately because of the pandemic. And also this political cycle, like you mentioned, is outrageously controversial. So talk radio has definitely been booming. But do you see it growing with the Biden administration, or do you see people kind of going, I got to take a break?
Oh, I see it growing. I see talk, as long as we have significant platforms that have a certain level of cachet and mass appeal to them. In other words, where it's not broken down to every man for himself in their basement, doing a podcast, but having real platforms, real radio stations, real networks. I see news talk radio with a political bent being the major, or certainly one of the 2 or 3 major formats of radio indefinitely, because people need to have these marketplaces of ideas. They need to have these platforms. They need to be able to express themselves. And let's face it, this is a never-ending story. Think about the listeners to this show, and you and me. We have front row seats on history in the making, and it's a nonstop show. It's not going to be resolved. It's like watching, these programs on Netflix. You know, if you have 20 of them or 30 of them or another season, you're not going to be fully satisfied at the end. They're going to hook you for the next in these serials. So we're in a reality serial, and we don't have to worry about Taylor Swift having a new song that everybody will like or musical changes or whatever. The reality of the world is the best material in the world. So I am very strong on talk radio, and I think that under Biden, it's going to be a whole new shift that's going to it's going to freshen it up a bit, especially since the fact that most commercial news talk radio is of a conservative nature. It'll be a wonderful new era for the format and for the medium to be able to play the role of critic of power as opposed to the less comfortable role of defender of power.
Right. And Michael, I think you make a great point, because when I was preparing for the first show here, people kept saying to me, "What are you doing to prepare?" Like, what weeks before I had my first show, what are you doing? And I was kind of thinking to myself, this news cycle is so fast. I'm going to have to get up the morning of and print off 1,000 stories, which I've done every day since, and see what's happening on, like you said, the show that day. What is happening right now? And it keeps shifting, and it never ends. You're totally right on that. But my question, you said about Cumulus, and this is not the first time that radio stations or big radio has told people, hey, calm down, like we got to keep it calm here, and I totally get that. But I guess my other question for you, because I know you're a podcaster, I know that you're online and you have talkers. Are you scared about big tech? Does that scare you at all? The fact that, sure, people can always say what they want, but what if a platform decides, but we don't like that anymore, we're going to take it off our platform?
I worry about that all the time. I worry about it from a standpoint of my concern for the broadcasting industry. I worry about it for my concern about the people that I know who make their living in the broadcast industry from a personal standpoint. I care about it from my love of radio. And my major political platform is supporting the First Amendment and the general tenets of free speech. So, of course, I'm concerned about it. Because if we don't have free speech in America, we don't have America. I mean, the big theme of the past couple of weeks, actually a few months, has been what is going to happen to American democracy. The Trump supporters believe that Trump is the only thing that could save American democracy, and the Trump detractors believe that he's the impediment to American democracy. So it's pretty dramatic. One way or the other, I'm all for American democracy, and I don't believe we could have American democracy without an unfettered marketplace of ideas where people can speak about these things openly and where they can be heard, read, comprehended, disseminated. So, yeah, I'm always concerned about these things. On the other hand, I'm not that concerned about this because, as I said earlier, I think what we're seeing right now, Grace, is American democracy and American free speech in action. Pushed to the max, there is danger, but I think we're going to work it out, and I think in the end we're going to be fine.
Michael, I'm already getting texts from people wondering where they can find your work because you're so eloquent and you do such a good job getting your point across. Where can people find your podcast and your publication online?
Talkers.com.
Awesome. And Michael, my last question for you. You mentioned Netflix. I can already tell you're like me. You're one of those people. You like to binge. What is one Netflix recommendation you can give to people who are hearing this interview and going, I wonder what that guy's watching?
Oh, I think The Crown is one of the greatest pieces of television and cinema to come down the pike on any venue in a very long time. And it also contains all kinds of interesting politics that relates to what we're doing now. I recommend The Crown, and I certainly recommend, this is nothing original, everybody's talking about it, The Queen's Gambit. Yes. Wonderful piece of drama.
I love both of those. We have similar tastes. Thank you so much for coming on, Michael. That's Michael Harrison from Talkers. He is the best in the business. It's nice to be able to have an expert on about radio because we're in it every day, but it's nice to have an objective take on the business end of it. Thank you very much, Michael. Guys, when we get back, we're going from one expert to the next. The next expert is the one and only Howie Carr. We will be right back. But before we go, we have to talk about the thunderstorm, because I've told you guys about this and I'm going to keep telling you about it because I get a lot of messages and DMs and people saying, what was the device you mentioned about getting rid of the dog smell or getting rid of the tobacco smell? It's the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. My friends at Eden Pure have done it again. Starting today, you can get the Thunderstorm air purifier at the lowest price offered to my listeners with code word GRACE. The Thunderstorm is available for under $90. That's $90, 90, and shipping is free. This is going to last as long as the supplies are there, which might not be a long time. The Thunderstorm is a small device. You can tell I'm holding it in my hand. It's like the size of a phone charger. You can move it around from room to room depending on what smell you need to get rid of. If someone cooks something awful and then the dog sits on the couch and you need to move it from the kitchen to the living room, it's not an issue. It's lightweight. It's easy. It's quiet. Take advantage of this 1 week only sale and experience for yourself what all the listeners, Howie, and advertisers are raving about. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word GRACE. That's EdenPure.com, code word GRACE. Shipping is free. We'll be right back with Howard Lawrence Carr. This is The Grace Curley Show.
You're listening to The Grace Curley Show.
It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story about who really hired you.
The mail manager really hired me, but it wasn't a great interview. Like, she'll even tell you that. She asked me what I like to do for fun, and all I could think of was I like to go out to dinner with my friends and eat and get drinks. So I really just sounded like a loser who doesn't have... I think I also lied and said, I like to play tennis, just because I wanted to do something that sounded normal. Howie had no idea who I even was. I mean, I came in, was 10 minutes early for an interview, which everybody knows the story. I had red lipstick on and I was 10 minutes early, and that was the high bar I had to meet because then I got hired.
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. Online at gracecurleyshow.com and follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curley.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. hairman.com/Howie.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com.
Follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curley.
Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show, everyone. Don't forget, you can check out all our podcasts at gracecurleyshow.com. There's a lot of news. I think we got to everything I wanted to get to, but what I really have to do now is I have to congratulate Howie Carr, who's on the line with us, because he had a small win today. CNN will no longer be playing when he goes to the airport in Palm Beach. Howie, what would you like to say about this?
I got that news yesterday in a text, Grace, and I thought it was fake news. I couldn't believe they would ever kill CNN Airport News. I thought that was where the bulk of their audiences came from. But then I realized nobody's in these airports anymore, right?
Well, that was the funny thing, is that they kind of framed it like, oh, well, no one's in the airports anymore, so the audience. And I'm like, well, yeah, also, I mean, nobody wants to watch it. That's has to be part of the problem as well. I'm sure those poor people in the kiosks have to hear from people like you every single day saying, can't you shut this off and turn something else on? Can't you put the game on or something? They must get that all the time.
Yeah, it's tough to put the game on at 7:30 in the morning, though. You know, and what are you going to put it on? There are all the channels that they have are basically going to be the same: MSNBC and increasingly Fox. How can you tell the difference between any of them?
And Howie, another TV update for you. I don't know if you saw this. John Roberts will not be covering the White House anymore. As far as like the press conferences go, it's going to be Peter Doocy will be covering the Biden administration.
Great. Oh, that's a good move.
That one horse pony, Peter Doocy. Damn it.
You know, there was another interesting bit of TV news I saw this morning. Jimmy Fallon had the lowest numbers Monday night that anyone has ever had on the Tonight Show, probably dating back to even back to Steve Allen days. He was the first host. Steve Allen, Jack Parr, Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, but he had under 1 million people on Monday night. Isn't that amazing?
It would take a heart of stone not to laugh, Howie. But another thing, Howie, I wanted to tell you about was I was reading this article from Byron York, and he mentioned something that I didn't think of. He said Democrats started trying to remove President Donald Trump from office before he entered office. Now they are proposing to remove him from office after he leaves office. And I was thinking, wow, it's so true. It's like every single time you think they can't get crazier, they get crazier. And you know history. You're a history guy more than I am. But have you ever seen anything like this thirst to prosecute someone after their time is up?
No, I said it's like when they dug up Oliver Cromwell, the former dictator of England, after he was dead for 3 years and the monarchy came back. They dug him up and tried him, and then they hanged him again, and a couple of his cohorts, even though they'd been dead for 2 or 3 years. It's just insanity. Hey, here's another one. I'm going to mention this on my own show. You remember I've talked about this before. They have Trump sold a piece of property for $95 million back in 2008, long before he began running for president. 2008, and he sold it to a Russian. And he had a big press conference to announce it because it was the highest price ever paid for a piece of property in Palm Beach, $95 million. He was trying to get $100 million, be the first guy. That's what real estate developers do. They brag about all their sales and how much money they made and that kind of stuff. Well, the place was resold just now, Grace. It's the lead story in the shiny sheet, the Palm Beach Daily News. Mm-hmm. Spec house gets $140 million price tag, and then we come to the subhead, which is the important thing. Home stands on land Trump once sold to a Russian.
Oh my gosh. All roads lead to Putin. Nancy Pelosi said it best. Maxine Waters said we need to connect the dots, Howie. I think this is a case for Howard Lawrence Carr. I think you need to connect the dots.
Once sold it to a Russian 8 years ago. The Russian had nothing to do with Vladimir Putin, and it's been sold 2 or 3 times since then, but he once sold it to a Russian.
I love how they put that out there as if there's nothing purposeful behind it. Like, oh, we're just adding this in. As if it doesn't fit their narrative. It's so transparently obvious. Did you see Brian Stelter, Howie? Since we're on the TV and the media right now, he was tweeting about the Bill Belichick decision to not go to the White House.
Not take the award, yeah.
Right, and Brian Stelter said, normally we'd be expecting the hate tweet from Trump in 3, 2, 1, ... And people were tweeting at him, and they're like, dude, you got what you wanted. He's off Twitter, and now you're tweeting about how normally he would be tweeting about this? Get a life. Guys, that's Howie Carr. He'll be back in 5 minutes with a jam-packed show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another day of the Grace Curley Show. We'll be back tomorrow with so much more.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a